Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You know, it's getting harder and harder these days to feel safe in your own neighborhood, even in your own home, much less when you're traveling. More and more we hear stories of friends or loved ones that went on vacation and fell victim to some kind of crime, whether it's having their identities compromised or actually having things stolen out of their hotel room, or maybe even being robbed while you're on vacation. In the course of my career as a detective, I worked a lot of cases involving fraud, identity theft, and the like. So I can tell you that nobody is safe when it comes to your personal information or becoming a victim because you got targeted as a tourist. And that could be while you're out and about or in your hotel. So I put together a kind of a survival kit for travel. The only reason I call it that is because that's kind of what it looks like. This is actually a safety and security kit for not only your personal information, but protecting your assets. So let me show you my kit. This is my travel security kit. It's put together very much like a survival kit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the items that are in this kit and show you the kind of things that you need to be getting to take care of yourself when you're traveling. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this out up front. I don't expect anyone to go out and stock an entire kit with the things that I've got in here. This has taken me a while and a pretty good bit of money to put this together. This is just meant to be a roadmap of the kind of things that you need to be keeping with you when you're traveling. And of course, down in the description box, I'm going to put affiliate links for anything in here that you can get through Amazon so that you'll be able to go and find the exact stuff that I've got if you're interested. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to show you the bag itself. This bag's from a company called Roaring Fire. They make a lot of camping and survival gear, and it's essentially just a little molly bag that's designed for EDC stuff or what have you. On the outside of the bag, I've got my little Spy versus Spy morale patch. I thought that was the most appropriate thing to put on this particular bag. And you can see on the front, there's a bit of a bungee strap in case you want to strap some kind of piece of equipment to the front of this. There's molly straps on the front and on the back, and there's a little hanging strap back here. In the front here, rolled up, I have a pair of black nitrile gloves. Look, there are 100 reasons why you might need some kind of latex style gloves, and I can't even begin to list them, but trust me, at some point you're going to have to touch something that you don't really want to touch, and having something like this will keep your hands safe and clean. All right, so let's open up the kit and see what's inside. There is a bunch of stuff in this little bag. As you can see, there's a pretty fair variety of things in there. So let's start going through here and seeing the kind of things that I've got in this kit. One thing that I've got right up front is I have a number of different size and style cables. I've got USB-C, I've got a lightning cable, I've got a mini USB, I've got a little bit of everything. Now there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can get a single cord that has interchangeable tips or something like that if you prefer, but I just happen to have these already, so these went in the bag. This way I'm always sure that I've got a way to charge up my electronics whenever I need to. To go with those items, I've got a charging block. I got one of these little small compact charging blocks that I can plug in. Now this particular one is USB-C. And the reason I picked USB-C is that is becoming the go-to for every electronic company. Almost everything anymore is being made with USB-C. Now the bag has this strap at the top and they've got little clips on the ends. And connected to one of those, I have this little multi-tool. This is a Gerber. I think the model is Curve. It is a tiny little thing, but this is so useful. You can see it's got a little carabiner style clip that you can connect it to things. And then it's got a small knife, a flathead screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, and a pry tool. What really makes this thing cool is each one of these is a locking tool. There's a little switch on the handle here that releases it, but each one of those locks in place. When you are traveling, at some point, you're going to come into a need for one of these items that's in this tool. Whether it's to tighten something up, to loosen something, to pry something, what have you, you're going to need to be able to work on something. Having this little bitty tool tucked out of the way is going to come in handy at some point. So the next item I have in here is the beginning of kind of the electronic selection. This right here is a camera and bug detector. This gives you the ability to check your room wherever you're staying and see if there are hidden cameras in the room or if there is some other kind of device that's transmitting some kind of signal from your space. Essentially, you switch this thing on and you look through this little eyepiece as these infrared lights come on, and you begin to scout the room. You point it at things where you think there could be a camera hidden, whether it's in that little bedside clock over there, or if it's in one of the lamps, or in the smoke detector. There's a lot of places where, especially if you're staying in a privately owned space like an Airbnb, I see stories all the time about people discovering hidden cameras in their Airbnb room. Something like this will help you find those cameras. And if you find one, you need to be calling the police and letting them know. Observation without consent is not something to play with. It's against the law, and I can guarantee you it's against the law in every state. Now, if you're in spaces where you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy, like say the kitchen or the living space in the house, and the owner has already told you there's cameras in that space, that's fine. But when you start finding things in the bedrooms and the bathrooms and they didn't notify you that they're there, that's when you've got something that you need to be reporting. Now, this particular item, not only will it pick up on cameras, it will also pick up on a Wi-Fi signal that's going out from someplace where it shouldn't be. Say you find a signal coming from the smoke detector or the lamp, then you probably have something hidden in there that's not supposed to be there. This particular one also doubles as a motion alarm. You can set the alarm, hang it on that door over there, and if somebody tries to come through the door, it's going to set off the alarm. This is a great little device. It takes care of 3 problems in one, and they're super inexpensive for what it does. This right here is the first thing that I will tell you you absolutely should get to put in your kit for any time you go on the road. If you don't have any of this other stuff, grab you one of these, throw it in your toiletry kit, and you'll always have it when you check in. Our next little piece of electronics is a portable hard drive of some kind. When you're traveling, you never know when you're going to come across the need for portable data transfer. Somebody may have some kind of digital file they want to give you, and if you don't have something to put it on, then you're going to have to go find something, or you're going to have to ask them for something. So always have some kind of portable media with you. Also, if you are a content creator, or say you're a photographer, it's somebody that's constantly having to upload files, having a little thing like this is a 1 terabyte drive right here. Look how small this thing is and how narrow it is. I absolutely love this little device. I can put so much information on here and it just tucks out of the way. Now, this is not a terribly cheap device, so if you can't afford something like this, then you definitely want to have at least one of these. Some kind of little thumb drive device that you can take that media and put it on. Now, another thing that I recommend is on your portable media that you have with your stuff, put an unencrypted README file that lets people know how to get it back to you in the event that you lose it and someone finds it. Encrypt your other stuff, but have an unencrypted file that anybody can open and figure out how to get this thing home. All right, so the next thing I've got is a roll of electrical tape. This one's a little bigger than I probably would prefer to carry, but I didn't want to just waste it so I could make this roll smaller. But for ideal carry, this should be about half that size. Electrical tape has so many uses when you're traveling. Whether you have to do some kind of electronic repair or just hold something together long enough to get you home. There's so many uses for this, and it's one of those things that if you don't have it with you and you have need of it, you got to go looking for it. So just go ahead and have it with you. One of the things I talk about with protecting your assets is if you're staying in a private residence, if you're on an Airbnb, or even if you're staying in a hotel and some kind of piece of electronic equipment in that space gets damaged and you have to try to fix it so that you don't end up having to pay a ridiculous amount of money for it, having something like this is going to go a long way towards saving your butt. Because especially if you're staying in a hotel room and something gets damaged, believe me, they're going to charge you a lot more than it's actually worth in order to replace it. Always have that on hand to take care of those little emergencies. The next item I've got goes right along with that, and that is a small container of some kind of CA glue. This particular one is Loctite super glue, but you need something that can bond things back together with a pretty good bit of strength. If you knock something off of a shelf and a chip comes off of it, it's a good idea to have some way to put that back together again. And you're not always going to be staying somewhere where you can just run out and grab a tube of super glue. Having something like this on hand, ready to go, at some point, you're going to wish you had this. The next item in our little bag of tricks is a power bank. I don't know if I can think of a single person who should not have a power bank at their disposal at any given time. This little Anchor power bank is super small. It's relatively thin. It's got a built-in USB-C cable that acts as a carrying strap, but it just pops out like that and you plug it into whatever and you are ready to charge your gear. Now they make these at all various sizes and prices, but this one right here I thought was perfectly sized for this kit. And that's why I went with this, other than the fact that this one has a whole lot of power capability. This is a really good little piece of kit right here. You definitely want to have some kind of power bank to take with you. The smaller the better. Make sure you're not giving up functionality as a sacrifice with size. You can get them so small that they're practically useless. Find that balance somewhere between size and strength and find the one that you need to put in your kit. The next thing I've got in here is I've got a pair of Sharpie markers. I've got them in black and I've got them in brown. The reason I put these in the kit is, for one, you never know when you're going to need to mark something for whatever reason. Having the ability to put a permanent mark on something is going to come in handy at some point. Whether it be labeling things so you can keep them carefully sorted or what have you, at some point you're going to need a permanent marker. Now the reason I picked them in black and brown is, once again, if we're protecting our assets, if we're keeping ourselves from getting in trouble over minor little mistakes, if something gets marred up and you need the ability to fix it, chances are one of these colors is going to come in handy. If it's a piece of wooden furniture, then you've got this one. If it's some kind of a piece of metalwork or some other thing that's dark in color, then you might want to use this one. But either way, at least these two colors should be in every kit like this, because you never know when you're going to have need of one of these. And when having a brown Sharpie marker might just save your butt. Our next item is a compact security camera. This particular model I picked up because it had the advantages of size, it has a rechargeable battery, and it works on Wi-Fi. I can take this camera and I can set it up. If I'm taking my family out for the day, we're going to be leaving our hotel room or our Airbnb, and I want to make sure that nobody's coming in and messing with our stuff. I can take this thing and I can hide it somewhere in the room so that it can put its eye on whatever I feel like I need to watch. And then I now have the ability to watch remotely from wherever I am. I can set this thing up with motion detection so that if somebody walks in that room, it's going to let me know. This thing works on a phone app. So at any point, once I've set this thing up in the room and I've linked it to Wi-Fi, I now have a direct line of communication between my phone and this camera. This is the only way that you can guarantee that you can have eyes in your room at any given time. So whether it's hotel staff or some thug that's randomly going around breaking into stuff, or if you don't quite trust that homeowner for the Airbnb you're staying at, this right here is a handy tool to have. Now, the second to last item for our kit. This is the last item in the kit, but I do have one more item that I want to show you at the end that doesn't go in the kit, but it goes with it. The last item in the kit, this bag, is a set of USB data blockers. What these do is these give you the ability to plug into things and keep your data from being stolen. So there's this thing out there called juice jacking, where say you're at the airport and you decide you're going to plug your phone in and recharge it, and you're going to use one of those USB outlets that they put in the wall. You know, the thing with USB is it's a two-lane road. You got power and you got data transferring in two different directions going across that line. And what happens is hackers will go into places where they've got those wall plugs and they will put a device in there to capture your information while your phone is charging. Having these blockers is a way of keeping from transferring data in that direction. The only thing your phone is capable of is pulling that power. Nobody can get in there and pull your information off your phone. This particular set has multiple different sizes on it, so that no matter what kind of connection you're using, you're going to have the ability to plug it in. The last item that I have here is a companion item for a lot of the things that are in here, but also for your phone. And that is one of these. This is a Faraday dry bag. A dry bag, of course, is going to protect your gear from getting wet. Any electronics, what have you, that might get damaged if they get wet, this is going to keep moisture off of. The Faraday bag, if you're not familiar, prevents any kind of electronic signal from coming or going. So if you have a reason to protect your devices from someone intercepting your signals, a Faraday bag is the way to go. This particular one's from a company called SLNT, and I love the fact that it combines the two. You can get soft Faraday bags and what have you, but I like the fact that this is a two-purpose tool. It can protect the moisture and we can protect from signals. As we wrap this video, I'm going to put this stuff back in the bag so that you can see how it all goes together. But like I said, I don't think that everybody needs to go out and buy every item in this kit. And there's probably some things that I don't have in here that I didn't think about. And if you think of something that I should add to this kit, now keeping in mind the space that we're working with. So don't tell me I need to go buy some great big piece of equipment to put in here, because if it's not going to fit in there, it's not going to go with this kit. But the objective is to get the things that you think you need and start building your kit. And then make sure that whenever you're traveling, you're taking this thing with you and protecting you and yours. Asset protection is huge. Protecting your personal assets is hard, and it's getting harder. But if you take a little bit of time and make the effort to protect your stuff, you're going to be a step ahead of everybody else. Don't be an easy target. This is one of the things that I train people on all the time. Make yourself a hard target. Make sure the bad guys move on to the next guy because you're presenting too much of a challenge. All of this stuff on this table is things that you can use to make yourself a harder target. So to wrap this up, I'm going to put this stuff back together. I'm going to put it all in the bag and show you how it fits together. So that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, please leave me a comment and tell me about it. And tell me which of these items you think is the coolest thing here. Also, let me know about things that I forgot. Or if you have a piece of equipment that you'd really like to see me test out and show you a little bit more about it, then I might just do that too. But until the next one, prepare for the world that you live in, not the one you wish existed. We'll see you next time.